Oh, hello, everyone, and welcome to Words with You and the Poetry Salon and our January reading. I am Tricia Fay Hefner, and I'm founder of the Poetry Salon. This bright bulb of color to my right is Robbie Nestor. And I guess together we're teaming up on a mission to bring more poetry, more high quality poetry, and high quality writing community and arts community to more people via the magic of Zoom. You can check out more at the Poetry Salon Stack, the Poetry Salon Stack.substack.com. And Robbie, if you have something you want to direct people to, you can. I'm basically just going to turn it over to you so you can introduce our two featured poets for January. So,
And
Robbie, on to you.
okay, our two readers today are going to do a presentation together. So I will introduce them both at once. And Ellyn maybe is an amazing wonder. She's a Southern California based poet, uh, U.S. artist nominee, and the author of numerous books. She's widely anthologized and has two highly acclaimed music and poetry albums: Rodeo for the Sheepish, produced by Hen House Studio, and Skywriting with Glitter, produced by Ellyn and Robbie. And PJ Swift has his own introduction. Once upon a time, PJ Swift embarked on a pursuit of creating a story, a lyric, or an anecdote in a day. A day, 1,001 nights have come and gone, over 1,500 and counting, and PJ Swift has not emerged since. Each piece an individual entity existing in its own poetic realm. And the two of them have teamed up for this reading and for their new book, sparring an all-star series, Word Troubadours. And you probably can't see it because these darn uh, digital things won't allow me to show it. But perhaps Ellyn can manage it since she doesn't have a background
Hey, hang
right
on one
now.
sec. I'll get, okay, one sec. Let me, okay, you can sort of, if I hold it up right, let me know if you can see it. Uh,
Yeah,
can you see it now? Oh,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, there it is. There it is.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah, it just came out from Mystic Boxing Commission, Daniel Yerian's imprint.
So you guys can get started and I'll shut my sound off here.
Okay. So I mean, should we could just start our, well, the series of the poems have some relation to each other thematically and stuff. And I came across PJ's work and it's so great. And I thought it would be a neat collaboration and everything. So that's what happened. And we can begin. I mean, do you have anything you'd like to add or anything before we begin? Okay, well, we can begin.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so I start, right, Ellen? Yeah. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
okay. So I'll just add like the thank Ellen for her encouragement and for inviting me to join her on this journey, which we called Word Troubadours. And that's also the name of the publication. And so we have this weave that Ellen has curated, and I will start with this first piece, War of the Arts. It started with the whaling. The adversaries sent multiple divisions of singers to the front lines. Uh, sorry. Sorry, I need more light. I apologize. Let's start again. The War of the Arts. It started with the whaling. The adversaries sent multiple divisions of singers to the front lines, who launched a barrage of songs, ballads, blues, country, rock, and opera, from duets to full-scale choirs. For a moment, all was silent and still. Then hundreds of planes flew overhead.
PJ,
You've
I'm so
got mute,
sorry.
PJ.
You were on mute. I think
Oh,
probably entirely my fault. I think I accidentally pressed something. Nope, you're
okay.
unmuted now. Okay.
I'm unmuted. Okay.
Hey, third
So
time's a charm. Just
third time's the charm.
there we go.
Okay. And should I start with my introduction too, or I was lost in the middle? Uh,
Start medias res. That's how we're supposed to do it.
okay, I'll start with this poem. It started with the wailing. The adversaries sent multiple divisions of singers to the front who launched a barrage of songs, ballads, blues, country, rock, and opera, from duets to full-scale choirs. For a moment, all was silent and still. Then hundreds of planes flew overhead, dropping thousands of tiny parachutes, each carrying a unique and original poem. Unfolding the tiny pieces of paper to read the thousands of poems overwhelmed the sensitive feelings of the citizenry and their forces. They were virtually incapacitated. And then came the tap dancers, the contortionists, the mimes, and jugglers, creating merry bedlam as they frolicked merrily throughout the lands for several days and several nights. When the revelry was finally over, the sprayers came in, marking all the territory that had been conquered by art. Oh, and now Ellyn is muted.
You got
Well, yeah, surreal. Okay, thank you. I know. Being an artist, being an artist means a recession will always be there and has always been here while you sit not writing screenplays, not taking meetings, just writing love letters to Van Gogh's beard, not wearing a watch, not caring who's on the cover of People magazine. Being an artist means you might sleep awfully late. You might choose totally different things as the four major food groups. Being an artist might mean you feel depressed and make others feel distressed when they are near you. Being an artist means you probably memorize the aisles at the 99-cent store. You probably have a $12 service charge each month for low funds in your checking account. Being an artist means you don't feel you have the right to remain silent. Being an artist might make people think you're on drugs. Being an artist means people think your closet is full of turtlenecks and mood rings. People assume you play harmonica. People assume you know all the words to every song released in the 1960s. Being an artist means you do. Being an artist means serenity, intensity, sometimes simultaneously. Being an artist means you have the power of civil disobedience on the tip of your tongue. Being an artist means drinking tie-dye t-shirts because you were thinking about a poem and didn't notice the washer was on hot water. Being an artist is an active verb, a noun, a consonant, an adjective in a world full of chaotic life sentences. Being an artist is not necessarily a choice.
The first rhyme. Somewhere deep in prehistoric days, the first bird appeared, indeed, upon the hatching from an egg. Strutting and stretching its wings, this very young but ancient bird opened its beak, releasing its first sound, an awkward primal squeak, into a raw and empty world. Shortly later, a similar sound returned to the bird. He hopped about excitedly. He was not alone in this world. Perhaps he had a friend. The little bird squeaked again. The sound returned. Again and again. Squeak, 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 squeak. But the sounds were not from another bird. This was his own echo, echoes reverberating his own voice, squeaks that rhythmically replicated his original cries. And so the bird discovered rhyme. Not fully alone in the world, he had rhyme and poetry to keep him company, waiting until one day the whole sky would sing. squeak, 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 and so many other melodious and impassioned sounds.
Somewhere in the sky. What if every moment you feel something happening? Someone scattering daisies and someone throwing ash. What if you feel the bones of history and the ache of the land? What if you wake up and your head is a map in a million different languages? What if you are able to eat musical notes for breakfast and symphonies for snacks? What if documentaries are written in your eyelids like rain? What if you listen to everything written with a crescendo of breath? What if everything blended technicolor wonder, but only for an hour? Would you wake up early or stay up all night in order to find it? What if your sky shimmered with glitter? What if your hemisphere drizzled with doom? A thesaurus of moments, human in nature. Would you live in the clouds or relish Earth's hue? Perhaps life is a multiple choice question, my friend. The answer's in a circle dance with no beginning or end.
That little song. Everyone knew that song. Nobody considered it their favorite, but they kind of liked it and accepted it. A sweet, silly, harmless little tune. It stayed around for a while and made its comeback decades later. It survived because all those little moments that people shared and remembered, all that variety of emotion, latched onto that song. That song was an emotional bank. It stored what otherwise would have disappeared forever, the emotional substance of so many lives. That song was like currency, not particularly distinguishable or valuable in itself, but it was a denomination of worth. And so the song was played and sung and remembered, gaining value over the years and far into the future, serving as a testament that we were here.
I heard what sounded like a song. It sounded like la. I started to hum with the knowing melody. Suddenly the voice got louder and it didn't sound like la anymore. The voice said live. I looked around and there was Joan of Arc. She said, Leonard Cohen got me right. Music is the highest calling. She said, live. I know it's not easy being a woman who knows the difference between Gene Kelly and Gene Krupa, Miles Davis and Miles Travel. I know how men make women wear armor of all kinds. It's natural to think of blowing out your candles. When you read Tennessee Williams, many things go through one's mind. It's hard to watch angels go to bed with wings and in the morning it's ash. Dreyer got it right. The soul is in the eyes, close up. She said I'm a trick candle. They think they extinguish me, but I never completely go out. Live. My body is not my soul. Of course not. I know martyrs from all times and seasons. We play mahjong in heaven. We read comic books. We are not 24/7 serious. That's what really scared them. Every them through history is afraid of what's brimming and can't be controlled. When she spoke, smoke came from her mouth like the grate of a Manhattan street, like a dragon. She nodded, it's my DNA now. My descendants, wherever they may be, they will recognize each other. Of course, we can tell the chain smokers from the saints. We are not naive. Everyone wants a puff of immortality without having to die. Death is a passing fancy. Still, for one glittering moment, I wanted a knight in shining armor to rescue me, like Guinevere and Lancelot. But I was King Arthur. My hands were tied. I assure you, I miss the grass I used to walk on barefoot. My feet were so much dust so quickly. I was a girl who played hopscotch. I was a girl who picked berries and had little girl crushes. I was a little girl. Live hung in the air like the notes you hear after the opera's over. The reverberations last forever.
Is that all?
No, no. Poetry House? Poetry House?
Yeah, it's coming up. I'm looking for it.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay. Sorry.
Sorry. Poetry house. People started to flow into the modest, nondescript house near the corner of the street. Quickly, the ground floor was full of revelers who began to recite lines of verse one by one. As they each took turns reciting their lines, their recitation soon became unified. All together, those who had gathered, young and old alike, from different walks of life, were chanting as one. Outside, the cramped house began to pulse, breathing with the rhythmic lines of poetry, and the revelers all lived and shared. The windows steamed, and the wisps rose from the chimney. The color of the house lightly fluctuated from gray to soft pastels. And the poem finished. The revelers held a solemn breath, and then each took their leave. The tiny house was again empty, nested in peaceful anonymity near the corner of the street.
People. There are people who hold an abridged tablet of the Ten Commandments in the space between their teeth and jaw. There are people who come into a room with stardust on their breath like a lullaby of backward halitosis. There are people who hold the planets together by clicking their Achilles heels 3 times. There are people who skywrite without an airplane, without a net. There are people who twirl a room like a rodeo for the sheepish. There are people who have bowling parties in their pajamas while the rest of the world seems like a pin waiting for an angel to step out onto the dance floor. There are people who seem to have eyeball upon eyeball like gumballs in an arcade of vision. There are people who walk into a room, a thermometer preceding them. There are people who wear their weather like perfume. There are people who know the cuckoo is a state bird of most states of mind. There are people who went to the same high school and spent each recess in the lost and found room, uttering their phonetic name. There are people who will have conversations deep as deathbed soliloquies and never speak again. There are people who make whatever street they're on Telegraph Avenue, 1964. There are people who write a shopping list in hieroglyphics. There are people who look up at the sun 8,000 times a day and lack an eclipse. There are people who drag questions from the tongue like photos 1 second before the crisp of a fire. There are people who ask nothing and your heart sits like a blank check in a bookstore that sells only elegy. There are people with a little past behind their ears. There are people with a newscast on their eyebrows. There are people, no matter how many apples they held, teachers resented them. There are people who ring many doorbells but won't let themselves in. There are people who light candles half the week and swallow swords the rest. There are people who memorize the footprints made by the snow. There are people who dine on shivers. There are people who chew on icicles all year round. There are people who pray with the nostalgia of baseball. There are people who laugh at life, open mouth like a kiss. Um, and that's what we have. Thanks for listening. Thank you.
That was amazing. I wish it were a lot longer. You'll just have
Oh,
to write more.
wow. Thank you. Wow. Thank you.
Tricia, would you like to ask any questions?
Oh my goodness, if we may, I mean, I was just going to say, you're right. I love it. And fortunately, we are recording it. So we can, and by we, I mean anyone who's hearing this on YouTube or anyone who gets the recording later, we can listen to it again. But I would like to just say in the chat, people are putting a lot of comments about things that they like. Boy, I really love that line. People who ring so many doorbells but
Oh,
won't let themselves in. Um, I gotta do
wow.
that.
Oh,
But
this chat's beautiful. Oh my God. PJ, can you see the chat?
I didn't see it yet.
Oh, look at the chat. Oh my gosh, you guys, such beautiful comments. Oh my gosh. Oh, thank you. Wow.
yes, I would like to ask a question. I know you guys are collaborating, and I've never really collaborated with anyone on my poetry, so I'm curious if either of you could say a little bit about what that's like.
Well, you know well, how we collaborate is we write individually, but I curate the weave, so like I saw there were common, sometimes there was things linking the poems, but we write individually and stuff. But I'm glad to hear that it feels like it's works together as like yeah, so yeah. But there's certain themes that seem to come up in works, and different things, or yeah.
This seems to be a little bit more of a popular thing. I mean, I think I remember a couple of years ago, the first time I'd ever heard of anyone collaborating on poetry. And now I feel like everyone I know is doing it. So this must be a really productive way of working together since so many people are getting so much juice out of it. I wanted to know, I mean, Ellyn, I know you've been writing poetry for a really long time. And PJ, I wondered if you would say a little bit about, um, what were you doing before entering into this collaboration with Ellyn?
Yeah, so I didn't really start doing any writing of this nature until very recently. Uh, but I knew Ellyn from when she was studying in Europe, and that's when we got to know each other. And then later, about 8 years ago, I had a chance to move to California, and we reconnected, and somehow spontaneously, I just decided to create things, but I didn't know what they were, and I'm not sure if they can be labeled as poems. But Ellyn was very encouraging, and so she's kind of like a curator,
Hmm.
a mentor, things like that. So this just kind of happened for me very spontaneously. It's still something I haven't completely wrapped my head around, but I'll keep trying to do these things as long as I get the encouragement.
Oh, fantastic. I want to ask a really controversial question, if I may. This is among the poetry community, boy, this causes a lot of fights. Writing with music in the background or writing in silence?
Hmm.
Ellyn, well, I think poetry is kind of like music, so I don't know if it is. I mean, it would have to be the right music at the right time, but again, I'm more new to this, but I kind of think there's not so much different between poetry and music. I mean, it's different instruments, but it's a lot about the rhythm and how the words sound. So that's kind of part of what music does. Uh, so I don't know. Ellen's collaborated with musicians too, but I don't know if you've actually listened to music while creating something.
Yeah, I mean, I think here and there sometimes, but you know what you mean. It is interesting because sometimes poems, they just sort of come when they're ready. So sometimes it's also happening just really quickly and stuff. But it's true. Like there's one collaboration, like the album, The Sky Rang with Glitter, the one I did, the Ellen Robbie album. A lot of the poems were written as he was playing the piano, and they were just written in real time, and then they were just ready, and then we performed them. So there's different ways, or in some ways the case would be like I'd have a poem, and then the musicians in the band sometimes would music take that existing poem and create choruses and stuff. But sometimes, yeah, sometimes but a lot of times it just comes fast, and you don't know when it's gonna happen. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
All right. Robbie, do you have any questions?
Uh, well, um, Ellen, what made you um, realize that PJ would be a good person to collaborate with when you heard him read and read his work?
Um, well, first of all, I thought the work, it really resonated. So I saw that the work felt like that it just felt instinctively really quickly that it would be neat, like there was commonality but it was also contrasty, like it's, it had some similarities, had some differences, and yeah, I thought it would be cool. I instinctively I felt that that would be yeah. I thought that would be cool. And we get along really well, so that's major too. I mean, we've always got along really well. So, yeah, I thought, but I really instinctively thought, I just instantly, I mean, it was amazing because he had already been doing this, and he showed me a piece. I'm like, oh my gosh, and and he's consistently great work. I mean, I just think it's fabulous. So I thought, well, this would be neat. This would be really, unique. Yeah. It's fun. It's
Is
fun.
this the first time that you've collaborated with someone who isn't a musician?
Um, yeah, I think so. I mean, I did a lot of shows where I opened for the Karma Bums, but I would open, but it was sort of, they were collaborating in their own way as performers, as performance poets. So yeah, I think it is really, yeah, yeah.
So
Mhm.
there must have been something in the feeling or the attitude toward the work that
Mhm.
you saw there.
Mhm. Yeah, it's really neat. I mean, yeah, I really recognize that the work, I really enjoyed it, and I thought the work, I saw that there was work, and I saw work that would work with the work, because the whole book is like weaved together, and I just thought, yeah, that it would be like somehow, yeah. It seems that, yeah.
Um, all right. Well, we're at about the half an hour mark, so I guess now is a good time to start switching over to the open mic. Um, I,
Okay.
Thanks for
I,
having us. Thank you.
oh,
Thank you.
Thank you.
absolutely. And I'm going to just remove spotlight. And we will do the open mic just like this with the kind of patchwork tableau, because if I try to change the spotlight for every new poet, it does get a little disjointed. So, hey, I'm always reminded of something that I think Ocean Vuong said. I'm not going to get the quote exactly right, but they said that when you take away the things like, the awards and the publications and all those kinds of things, and essentially like, you take away the hierarchies. We poets are all just like horses running in a field together, and I love that. And I think when we get to be like this and all in the same kind of patchwork tableau and everyone's box is the same size, it just makes me think about that, like we're all kind of equal in the eyes of the poetry gods, however you conceive of them. Um, and I will make a quick little plug. I know we are so inspired by our featured poets. And I know some on the Zoom meeting in our community have books out, or they've published a poem, or they've just got a poem recognized. And there's not always, our ability to feature everyone. I know Words with You is booked out till sometime in 2027, but I do want there to be a space for people to come and celebrate their work and mention that they have a book out and kind of inspire each other to write and share our best work. So the Poetry Salon, we're starting something new called Poets Inspiring Poets. And if you're a paid member to my Substack, it's just $8 a month. We meet, we share our published work, we write kind of inspired by each other's work, and then we share. So it's kind of a new combination of open mic slash writing workshop. And then, of course, we also tell each other where we've been published. So it can also help you if you're, trying to submit poetry, getting ideas of where to submit and what kind of poetry too. So it's been a small group, but a really meaningful set of poems that have come out. So I'd really encourage everyone to come to that. And um, and that's my pitch. So hopefully that was enough time, Robbie. for you to get the list together. And
Oh, I've had it together.
you
I've
had
had
it
it together.
together. Okay, I was stalling because I thought that you needed a minute to
Yeah,
gather the list.
no, I've had it
No, no,
all
no.
together.
All right,
So,
great. So who's first?
Rose is first because she was here first, and that's how it works.
Fabulous.
Okay, now I have to
So
decide
it's
which poem to read.
you can read two because it's a
Oh,
very
I can read
short
two.
list.
Okay, but they're not
So
very
5 minutes
short.
or less. Yeah.
I start with a poem that I have written some years ago when I first went to Israel. That was before. Well, we all know what before means. And I did several pilgrimages to Israel, and they were very important to me. A pilgrimage. In Rosh HaNikra, I look across to Lebanon. Below me is the sea. I pick up a stone and let it bounce against the rocks. The Sea of Galilee cuts me with contrition. I want to atone for sins to which I feel fettered by blood. The Jordan washes the dusty crust of the Negev from my skin. The Dead Sea lifts my burden. Haifa receives me in a language I understand. Bethlehem's brittle alliances don't inspire. My friend rejects the kippah and holds my hand. And Yom Rishon is the first day. And with the other one, I take you to Spain, to southern Spain. Cemetery in southern Spain. 1. From far we could see it. The long path, cypress-lined, planned for long processions to contemplate what lies ahead. Coffin or urn, locked up forever behind grey stone. We imagine yet another funeral, yet another accepted loss in a small community. 2. As God wills, clutching her rosary, a mother rearranges dark curls on a white silk cushion. She was only 6, Holy Father. 3. The old men sit in the square, their black boinas shoved to the back of their heads. It's hot. Walking sticks between their knotty hands. They know they soon won't need them any longer. The only question, who'll be next? 4. 40 days of mourning. The women stay in black. There are not enough days without the dead to dance the paso doble in flirtatious floral skirts. Slowly their backs bend to the will of their church. Thank you.
Lovely.
Our next reader, oh, and I know I was supposed to tell you that he was on but I can't remember whether Jan said she wanted to read or not.
I did, Robbie. Thank
Okay,
you.
then you are next.
Okay,
And
thanks very much.
yes,
Let's see. Okay, my first poem is Atomic Cocktail. In went the blue curacao, ground lapis lazuli, sapphire gin, butterfly wing, UV blue vodka, feather of a jay, lime juice plus maraschino liqueur shifting with the pH, a cerulean sky, blue spirulina, the Caribbean, butterfly pea flower, and a blue note. Next poured my depressed cousin's soul, a toddler holding its breath, my old jeans, a warrior's woad-painted face, indigo eventide, a periwinkle, a turquoise earring, a blue bonnet, and a draft of my in-laws' imagined royal blood. The barkeep finished it with a bar of Bessie Smith, a measure of Ma Rainey, and a string from Robert Johnson's guitar, still twanging. A couple of chunks of dry ice, and azure mist wafted from the rim, curling into my nostrils. I drank deep, felt it diffuse from stomach into veins, respire out my now aquamarine lungs. The room spun cobalt and radioactive.
My bones shivered into a mermaid on a mussel-covered rock. I sang all my sailors home to cold and deep. And I'm going to read one more poem, but first I just wanted to say, Ellyn and PJ, that collaborative work of yours was so fantastic. My brain is buzzing. You were wonderful. Thank you for that. Um, and then the other poem I'm going to read is called Fermata, and it's for Renee Nicole Good. Fermata. Renee married men twice, then a woman. Might have called herself lesbian or pansexual, but for now, I'm claiming her as a bi poet. Not that it mattered when bullets mashed that beautiful brain, an end to words. Sustained notes of details, car door pocket overflowing with stuffed animals, her wife Rebecca sobbing on the snow with the dog, screaming for the doctor that ice wouldn't let near her, their trip to Canada when Trump was elected, Rebecca crying that she made Renee come back, it was her fault, the swagger of her killer striding to the SUV to leave the scene, the Air Force service of the orphaned 6-year-old's dead father, slanders by puppy killer and president, eulogies from Renee's mother, then her father, dictated to reporters on the phone. Her 2 older children's voices are absent from middle school and high school. Rebecca doesn't answer her cell. Renee's guitar strings are untouched. Thank you. Oh, and that's in an anthology that raises money for Life After Hate, which helps people transition from hate groups to real life. So I'm going to put the link for that anthology in the chat. Can't wait to
Thank
hear
you.
everybody else.
I'm glad you placed it in such an anthology.
Thank you.
The next reader is Cindy. Cindy, are you still here?
Hi, everybody. I'm Cindy Bousquet Harris, and I want to read another poem from my collection that was recently accepted by Kelsey Books, and I'm excited about. And it's about a man who was lost in the Mojave Desert for 6 days, and after 6 days, he was found alive. And it's called Rain Shadow. Pardon me. And it starts here. Let me see if I can find it here. I'm sorry. Okay. You can still hear me, right?
Yes. If
Okay.
you'd like, we can come back to you.
No, I don't know what, it's being weird here. Okay. All right. I think I've got it. No. I'm sorry. Yeah, come back to me. I'm so sorry, Robbie. I don't know what's being
That's
weird
okay.
here.
Our next reader is Tina. You're muted, Tina.
Thank you. Really appreciate it. So I have 3 poems that I'll share from my very first chapbook. It's coming out. It's in the pre-sale period right now. And I'm going to put, oh, wait a second. Oh, dang, what did I do? I'm giving you the whole poem in the ah.
The
Okay.
technology is turning against us. It's happening.
I'm really, of course, this is okay. At any rate, but at the end, I'll give you a link, and if you enjoy what you hear, the pre-sale metrics are really important, and I would very much appreciate support for that. Okay, so let me share. And they're a little bit timely, not as sharing is not turned on. You can request sharing. Okay. So Jan, I try not to cry when I read, but boy, I've got my emotions up now.
Oh,
Oh, Tina,
That is really something powerful.
thank
So
you
thank
so
you.
much.
I mean, all of your work that you've read today is just incredible. I'm so glad I found you all. Okay, so now I've got myself tearful. Okay, I ordered a door made in Minnesota. Maybe, I have to start back. I ordered a storm door made in Minnesota. Maybe too much for our breezy weather, but we do get wind pounding rain sometimes. The gentleman, don't cry because then I'll cry. The gentleman who hung our door immigrated from Mexico. He visited with my Navajo husband while I wrote his check. They talked philosophy, people's culture, humanity. Your house has a gentle spirit. He was speaking to me. It feels pleasant to be here. My husband, home just 2 weeks after surgery for an aggressive cancer. There were surgical drains to milk and empty, wounds to dress, protein shakes to make, each task a quiet prayer. Grace, seeding grace. I'd removed all turmoil from our life, like the radiant force of a newly lit star. There is a different storm now in the air and on the airwaves, pelting us all. I set my jaw and leveled my gaze as my father would do in the face of danger. You will not take the peace of our home. And I shut the door, and I shut tight the solid new storm door built to withstand a blizzard.
wow.
Thank you. It was written 2 years ago, and I didn't realize that right now it would be so much more meaningful. Okay. I apologize that I'm emotional. This is really something we're going through. Okay, favorite shape. Things are getting lighter now. It has partial lines borrowed from Prometheus Unbound by Percy Bysshe Shelley. Okay, so we'll start. Who doesn't love the golden spiral? Measured progressions spun into strobili, sunflower faces and daffodil petals. Pyramid triangles fall together from a base of 4 sides. Fractals bloom in a lighted screen. Pachelbel's canon in D. Sorry. If I must choose, I'll take the shape of my husband's shoulders, the gentle glide from his neck to the round of his arm. What is the math of a button-down shirt? Skimming sinew and music and muscle, set in soundless confidence, once noted by football rivals, still owning the sidewalk, now keeping me safe. If math is required, then let it be Shelley's divine sphere. Beautiful orb. Our dearest, it must be you. And I'm not sure I could do justice to Shelley. Thou earth, calm empire of the happy soul, sphere of divine shapes and harmonies, beautiful orb, gathering as thou dost roll, the love which paved thy path along the skies. And that's that one. Okay.
Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you,
so I have one
Tina.
more. Do I have to stop now?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Wow.
Okay. I'll put the link. Thank you. And then,
Mhm.
okay.
Wow,
Thank you. How do I undo
Yeah.
this?
So don't worry about that. So Cindy, did we already go back to you? I'm sorry.
No.
Okay.
Shall we give it another try?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, God, why am I having such a hard time with this? Okay. All righty. All right. Okay. So from my recently accepted manuscript, Rain Shadow. And this one begins with a scripture verse. And I will give you treasures of darkness and riches hidden in secret places. From Isaiah 45, beginning of verse 3a, beginning of verse 3. Saturation point. How small I've become as I slide down this chute. Minuscule, almost irrelevant, but finally to scale. Canyon in lavender, striated walls still oozing pigment. I'm guided, prodded, no, ordered to follow. The trail, a cocoon of tumbled brightness. And can I say true? Can I say it's good for this child? The purple light, a whistled memory, the only one that makes me cry. Thank you.
Okay. Our next reader is Gary.
Let me unmute myself. Okay, I just posted a link for this poem, which is called 100 Years Later, which was published recently in McQueen's Quinterly. 100 Years Later, and it has an epigraph. In October 1919, as many as 325 black people were killed by white mobs in and around Ellyn, Arkansas. This according to the Ellyn Massacre of 1919. History spreads across the Arkansas Delta. It rustles in the amber stalks of grain, no longer sold in an abandoned store. It blows with the wind through open windows, rattles the double doors at the front. Above stalks and store, clouds on the horizon give way to wisps of white, to a sky so blue it turns almost as dark as the skin of black World War I veterans trying to change the South by forming a union to negotiate with the descendants of the owners of plantations who bought the ancestors of those veterans and forced them to pick cotton, first as slaves, then as sharecroppers, tied to rented fields by debt peonage. But when those black vets came back from fighting the war to make the world safe for democracy, they wanted the plantation store to stop overcharging sharecroppers and start paying enough to let them pay their debts. When tensions between blacks and whites exploded, sheriffs, posses, and mobs started hunting blacks down, shooting men, women, and children. They massacred more than 300 people before U.S. troops intervened. 100 years later, Mississippi River floods have brought layer after layer of dirt to hide the blood, turned plantations into fields where all you see is grain, a fair sky, an abandoned store. Thank you.
Wow. Quite a poem, Gary. Thank you. Does anyone else from the gallery want to read on the open mic? Anybody else?
If there's still time, I'll go back to my last poem, but I don't insist.
Uh, no, I would rather just move on to Tresha if nobody.
Carolyn says she wants to read.
Okay. Carolyn. I don't see Carolyn. Okay, Carolyn. I thought you were clapping.
I mostly just
Really?
came to listen today because I haven't been able to write very much, but I do have one poem. Well, I have several poems, but you talked about sometimes writing to music. And I didn't sit down deliberately to write to music. I was just happened to be listening to something and a couple of poems came out. So I have this one and I'll tell you a little more about it after I read it. It's on Listening to the Moldau by Bedřich Smetana. Fill me up, almighty Moldau. Let the flutes and pizzicatos start the bubbling virgin springs. Waters rise with clarinets' joyous babbling. Joining on a lower note, violas do sustain, then weave the ever-growing undulations, swaying, throbbing heartbeat. Cellos join the undercurrent, churning, pushing tidal waves. Violin with soaring air sweep away the woes of earth. Muted waters gently flow and pass through forests deep. Arpeggios pass from winds to strings and back again. Dreamlike mists recall the river's source. Brass intrudes now full of power. Strings scramble, racing currents building down with timpani. Drumbeat pushing mighty rapids down to thunderous waterfalls, flooding everything in sight, sweeping faster, building to majestic heights, until at last, a cymbal crash. French horn lingers decrescendo, slowing waters driven by the rhythmic bass, spreading out o'er plains below, descending to a peaceful quiet. And then with 1 and 2 last blasts comes to rest at 18 gates, bringing life to ancient Prague and joy to a fear-filled soul. And a friend of mine who's traveled all over the world with Elder Hostel and Rhodes Scholar, she's been to the Smetana Museum in Prague, and she said, "Oh, you should send that to them." And I'm going, So I did send it to them, and I finally got in touch with a real person, and they said they might be interested in putting it in the Smetana Museum. So, maybe famous in Prague someday. But yeah, thank you. I wish I could read better. We have a couple of people in one of the open mics that I'm in sometimes in the writers group that he could read. I swear he could read a telephone book and make it sound good, And me, I stumble even over my own words. But I've listened to that. I used to play in an orchestra, and I played this too, but I broke an arm badly about 15 years ago, and I had to give it up. But so I've played that piece of music, and I've listened to it, and I just happened to be listening to it, just on YouTube, and this kind of just wrote itself.
Well, you're doing
Anyway,
fine,
thank you.
Carolyn. Keep doing it. Okay, Tricia, it's your
Oh,
turn.
I think T has her hand up. T Paulson.
Oh, I didn't know T was here. Okay. Go ahead, T.
Yeah, I was
I
late.
get-
I missed the main reading, so I have to go back and listen later, which I'm excited about doing. So I will read a poem that appeared in the American Literary Review a couple years ago, and then it was just recently reshared by Poetry Town, and I'm very honored and humbled for both the publication and the reprint. And I'm also working on putting it in my chapbook, so it's sort of on my mind anyway. 573992, Confession of a UPS Driver. Bear Gulch Road, an asphalt sliver winds among redwoods, whose branches chop, clutter, sunlight to me where needles fall to define my paths, my work. My truck, 573992, butters her turns and nimbles me. Beyond, the framed Pacific glimmers pale among numbers. Parcels, stops, production. 992 names me strong in rivers of marine layer drunk from salt. Fog bleeds and swirls in gray flames. Wonder twists to me among trunks as wide as roads. Pastures green secrets unfold in wilder shades. With her, my truck, as mist conceals the deep enfolds of wet and gold shadows. They say tools maketh the woman, And I can take the burning sunsets of knots and flesh with 992, can take the punch of overtime. Nothing lasts. Her design phased out, erased by handshakes among men and women who've never asked, a vehicle to hold them safe where dark slopes down. Her odometer says she's past her prime. If one bill ever arcs over $1,000, the graveyard, brown with rust, awaits. I dread the damp, the dark of skyline without her. My turnarounds unbuttered, clumsy. Any other wheels will render the Pacific just a wound of blue. The redwoods just pillars. I reveal her little bruises one by one. A seal glistens wet. A bearing growls. She whines.
Thank you, T. And thank you, Tricia, for letting me know she's here. Did I miss anybody else? Because I'm not seeing them. But if not, then it's your turn.
Okay, I'll just make one more plug and say, I mean, we all know that poetry inspires more poetry. So Poets Inspiring Poets is the first Sunday of February. So if you have a book to promote or more poetry you want to share and put a spotlight on, you're welcome to come and share a poem and see how it inspires other people and tell us about your books that are coming out and so forth. I know poets are sometimes shy about that, but this is a place where we encourage it at Poets Inspiring Poets. So if you want to know more about that, I'll put the link in the chat before I go. This is a poem probably inspired by a prompt in a workshop, and it's just called Goals for 2025 or Goals for 2026. This will be the year I show up on time. Stop rehearsing lies in my front seat of my car saying I slept through the alarm when I know I never set one. I will get it together, simplify, stop sweating small and pissing in my own pond water. It will be the year I start saying no to low-paying jobs and demand a higher hourly rate and an escape car to Acapulco while we're at it. The year I finally go back to Asheville, try the vegan biscuits and coconut kale this time. Stop scratching at California like an old rash and be content with whatever is, wherever it is. Or maybe it's just the year I listen to that voice that says, close up your laptop and go for a walk. The year I get a photo of that yellowtail swallow in the butterfly bush outside our house. This will be the year I buy hoop earrings. I know, I'm too old, but I'm not asking permission. This will be the year I shake my own head, yes and no, and let those floozy little bitches shine.
I'm next, so I will read a poem from my book using the cover because I love the image on the cover, and that's why I wrote about it to begin with. So if I can share, I will go ahead and share. The image is by an artist called Kylie Sparre, Sparre, and it's Kylie, Kylli. And do yourself a favor and look up her website, which is all of her work is truly amazing. And she'd love it if more poets wrote about her. So the poem's called, and the painting, it's called Disquiet. On the ocean floor, sleeping groupers camouflage themselves as rocks, cocooned in clouds of sand and mucus spun out of the substance of their bodies as spiders' spinnerets let down a line of silk. I'm like that, like the whelk within its fortress of a shell, shielded in a vaporous swirl. It doubles as a dress of white chiffon, inverted parachute that spirals around my body like vanilla soft serve, ribbon of cream in coffee. When I feel threatened, The dress sets up its own internal wind and weather, swallows me whole. At the first sign of threat, it automatically inflates. I take flight on milky tides of moonbeams, streamers of phantom light. And thank you. Thank you all for coming, and thank you to our features for being here and sharing your work. And I hope you get to share your work in lots more places. You should talk to me, and I'll suggest perhaps a few of them to talk to, because I've been doing a lot of virtual features lately.
Thank you.
So, okay, I guess you can quit recording and people can chat, or they can disperse and do what they will.
All right, we're going to pause the recording. Goodbye to the YouTube listeners in 3, 2, 1.